Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. You're probably sitting there if you're watching live thinking, Cam, what are you doing? It's 10 past 10 on a Thursday night. Why are you live? Why are you streaming? What's going on? What's happened? Basically nothing. I thought I'd sit down and do the live game review of the 2-0 victory against Leicester City last night. Everton's fantastic 2-0 victory against Leicester. Another very, very good performance by Carlo Ancelotti's Everton side, taking us within a point of top four and only a couple of points away from the top of the league after a really bad run of fixtures. Obviously Everton bouncing back with a fantastic win against Chelsea and a fantastic win against Leicester. So I thought, you know what, we'll sit down, we'll provide some late night entertainment and we'll talk about it. Basically the proper reason is I had to go Christmas shopping after work. I've not long got in. I was watching the end of the Manchester United game and then I realised, oh shit, we play on Saturday. I've got to do the weekly news roundup video tomorrow as well as that Arsenal preview tomorrow. So I thought, you know what, we'll come in and we'll sit down, and even though it is 10 past 10 on a Thursday night, we will do the game review to the fantastic win over Leicester City. So we're going to sit down, of course, today. We're going to talk about the game in all of its glory. A fantastic 3 points for Everton. Like I said, really impressed with the performance yesterday. It was always going to be a difficult game. It really was. You know, we sat here and we spoke on a couple of occasions, certainly after the Chelsea game, that, you know, I think I said it in the preview to this game, the Chelsea game was sort of a different situation. It was the first game back at Goodison Park and where fans were allowed to return to the stadium. It was a night game under the lights at Goodison Park. We'd been in a bad run of form. It was sort of, it's all, whenever we play Chelsea, it seems like it's always settled for the same sort of story. We're on a bad run of form. They're playing really well. The crowd are up for it. It's always a night game. It's always at Goodison, and we always tend to come out of it with a really positive result. And that was the case last Saturday. And don't get me wrong, it was an absolutely fantastic performance and an absolutely fantastic win. It really was. But this game against Leicester was always going to be a very different kettle of fish. It was going to be a very difficult game. We were coming up against a side that had won more games than anybody in the Premier League at this point, was scoring goals freely, had Jamie Vardy, who was scoring goals constantly against anybody, ripping defenders to bits week in, week out. Defensively, they'd done okay as well. They were in and around the top of the league. If they'd have won yesterday, they would have gone top. And it was always going to be very difficult. Not only that, we were away from home, there was no fans in the stadium, and it was a big test as to see whether Everton could turn up and play in the same style as we did against Chelsea and get a result, defend as well as we did against Chelsea, and hit teams and hit Leicester on the counter attack, and, you know, make the most of our opportunities. And we absolutely did that. We nullified one of the best forward lines in the league at the moment to very little opportunities. Now, okay, they had a couple. Jamie Vardy had a header, of course, which was straight at Robin Olsen, which he'd probably say he should do better. I know Tielemans had a shot in the opening couple of minutes as well, but other than a couple of lapses of concentration and minor defensive I don't want to say mistakes, but they sort of were minor defensive mistakes. They had nothing. They had pretty much nothing in the game. And okay, they had an awful lot of the ball, which is what we saw on Saturday, and it wasn't always a pretty lovely game of football to watch from an Everton fan's point of view. But I'm very happy to play against sides where we give them 60, 70, 80, 90% possession in games of football, as long as when we have the ball, we're making the most of it, and when they have the ball, we're defending really well. I'd rather that than Everton have 80, 90% possession but lose a game, and then we say, oh yeah, but, you know, we had all of this possession. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day. The only stat that matters is what that top left-hand corner says, or bottom left-hand corner if you're watching BT on 90 minutes, and what the score is at the end of the game. In the last two games, Everton have come away with two big wins against two good sides, despite the fact that we haven't had a lot of the ball in either games. And it was the same yesterday. Like I said, very impressed with yesterday's performance. Defensively, we were absolutely quality. Again, Carlo Ancelotti obviously naming only one change to the side that beat Chelsea. Robin Olsen coming in for Jordan Pickford. I just want to make a comment on this before we talk about Robin Olsen's performance. Gabriel Bramley-Moore was on TalkSport again a little bit earlier on today, and I don't know why they keep bringing these players, ex-players, onto TalkSport who haven't got a clue what they're talking about. But Gabriel Bramley-Moore was on TalkSport today, and he said, I don't understand why Carlo Ancelotti's changing his keeper every week. Well, he's not changing his keeper every week. The last time Robin Olsen played was against Newcastle, which was 4 or 5 weeks ago. That was the first game he played in an Everton shirt. He's played twice, so we're not changing our goalkeeper every week, are we? Let's be perfectly honest with you. But, ultimately, Carlo Ancelotti made the decision yesterday to give Jordan a rest, and Jordan Pickford's been in good form, so that did come as a little bit of a surprise to Evertonians. I feel like the game against Newcastle, you could sort of see it coming because there'd been a lot of media attention from the fallout of the Merseyside derby, and he hadn't been in great form. But coming into this game, I think Jordan'd been in good form, even the games in which we'd lost, or, we hadn't managed to get any points out of. The Burnley game, he was very, very good in, made some big saves, didn't do anything wrong against Chelsea, didn't have much to do, but didn't do anything wrong, made a couple of decent saves from Reece James's efforts. So it was a little bit of a surprise that he was taking out the team, but again, Carlo Ancelotti said before the game, there's no injury, there's no attitude issue, there's nothing like that. I just wanted to give him a rest, and I think we're going to see more of that. I don't know the ins and outs and the finer details of Robin Olsen's contract at Everton Football Club, but I've got a slight feeling that there's a number of appearances that he has to match. That's within the contract for Roma to be happy or whatever. And that's why Carlo's come out and said, look, sometimes we will change the team around. And there was no issue with that whatsoever, because ultimately it gave Jordan Pickford a game to rest and to watch from the sidelines and to not need to be called upon. And Robin Olsen stepped in and was absolutely brilliant. I put out a tweet last night of a picture of Robin Olsen saying, look, he's done fantastic today, and some people said, he didn't have nothing to do, calm down, he didn't have nothing to do. That's what you want from your goalkeeper. We want to be sitting here the day after the game talking about it, or half an hour after the game thinking, bloody hell, Robin Olsen didn't do much today, did he? Or Jordan Pickford didn't have to do much. That's exactly what you want. That shows how good the defensive performance was, and Robin Olsen did have to do a couple of things in that game, and he done them really, really well. He was a cool, calm figure, and I'm not going to sit here and go into comparisons, between Olsen and Jordan Pickford and, try and decide who will start on Saturday. I think Jordan Pickford will be back in the team on Saturday, if I'm being honest with you, against Arsenal. But, okay, Robin Olsen didn't have a massive amount to do last night, but the header from Jamie Vardy, yes, it was straight at him, but he dealt with it. He had a couple of saves where he had to get down to his near post, dealt with them really comfortably. I think Tielemans put a really dangerous cross into the centre of the box as well, come out, dealt with that, won a foul at a really important point in the game as well. So yes, he didn't have any world-class saves to make, and he wasn't massively tested because Leicester didn't have many an opportunity, but everything that he needed to do, he done really calm, really soothing, no issues, no big dramatic, oh my god about it, just dealt with it. And that's what Jordan Pickford's been doing in the last couple of weeks, by the way. We haven't seen that erratic, dramatic, rash Jordan Pickford recently, which is a very, very good sign. But again, Robin Olsen stepping in, absolutely had no issue with that whatsoever, because I sort of knew before the game he's a calming figure, got a lot of experience, good goalkeeper, played in a lot of different leagues and played successfully in a lot of different leagues. And like I said, the rest of the team was unchanged. Obviously, Ben Godfrey and Mason Holgate starting full-back, Yerry Mina and Michael Keane at centre-half, Alan, Abdoulaye Doucouré and Sigurdsson through the middle, with Richarlison, Iwobi and Dominic Calvert-Lewin as a front three. It was fantastic. Just absolutely fantastic. You know what we needed yesterday? We needed pretty much a carbon copy to the game against Chelsea, and it was always going to be very, very difficult for us to get a carbon copy for the game against Chelsea. And got my computer's going a little bit with the notifications here. It was always going to be very, very difficult for us to put in a carbon copy performance to that win against Chelsea, because it was such a good win and we defended so well. But we did. We did it yesterday, and I take so much confidence from that going into the next couple of weeks or so. Look, we've got some very, very difficult fixtures coming up. Arsenal at Goodison Park on Saturday isn't an easy fixture. Yes, okay, Arsenal aren't in fantastic form, and they managed to get a point out of the game against Southampton yesterday. I actually think the Arsenal result really, really helped us yesterday. The fact that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang scored yesterday is massive for Everton, because far too many times over the years historically of strikers come up against Everton and they haven't scored for about 3 years, and they scored an hat-trick against Everton, and then they go on some mad run. So I actually think it was quite good for us that Aubameyang got that out of his system before the game against Everton, because it was written in the stars that he was going to score, or he'd score. But they aren't in great form, but they're not to be underestimated. But it's definitely a game that we should be sitting there thinking we can win this, and we have to go out believing we can win. We've just beaten two of the best attacking teams in the league. Not only beating them, kept clean sheets against them. It's a mad season. Like I said, we went on this bad run of form where we'd lost to Southampton, we'd lost to Newcastle, we lost to Man United, we lost to Leeds, we had a win against Fulham in between there, but it wasn't convincing. We drew with Burnley, and we've come out of it. And overall this season we've kept 3 clean sheets in the Premier League. They've been against Tottenham, Chelsea and Leicester, 3 of the best attacking outfits in the league so far this season. In fact, other than them lot across the park, you'd probably say Tottenham, Chelsea and Leicester have got the 3 best attacks in terms of goal scoring in the leagues, and we've kept 3 clean sheets. So it's mad, but again, like I said, doesn't just show how well we played, it shows how strong and compact and comfortable we were defensively. And one thing I've noticed over the last couple of games is playing 4 centre-halves across a back 4 with 2 of them playing full-back seems to be really, really working at the moment. And I don't want to sit here and go into speculation about, well, what happens when Seamus Coleman comes back in? What happens when Luka Dean comes back into the team? The same reason as to why I don't want to speculate about when James Rodriguez becomes fit, because ultimately, Luka Dean gets fit tomorrow. Not that he would, obviously, because he's got a sustained injury. But let's say, theoretically, Luka Dean's fit tomorrow. He's in that team on Saturday because he's one of the best left-backs in world football. And I know Ben Godfrey's been doing fantastic, and some might disagree with that. But if he's match fit, he's probably going to be in the starting 11. Maybe similar situation with Seamus Coleman. But one thing we've seen is that I love Luka Dean and I love Seamus Coleman, and Luka Dean offers us something going forward that not many other players can offer us in terms of being able to get forward, throwing crosses into the box constantly, getting assists, creating opportunities for us. But what Ben Godfrey and Mason Holgate have done when they've been playing fullback is they've just created this solid defensive line. You've got 2 very athletic young centre-halves at fullback who can afford to play fullback because, like I said, they're athletic, they're quick, they're strong, they can get to everything. So they've got the pace to, deal with themselves out there wide, but they've also got that natural defensive instinct. So it's not always, I need to pick the ball up and I need to get forward, and I need to get forward, and I need to get forward, and then they're being caught too far up the pitch. Their natural play and they naturally default to, right, okay, I just need to keep a strong defensive back line here and make sure nothing gets past me. And that, along with Yerry Mina and Michael Keane having the very same mentality, has helped us massively over the last couple of games. And it's a real conundrum for Carlo Ancelotti. It is a real headache because now he has to look at it and think, right, okay, I've got a back line there of Dean and Coleman fullback and Mina and Keane at centre-back, which will offer me this much going forward, but maybe a little bit susceptible to counter-attacks or to being a little bit less solid defensively. Or I've got Godfrey, Holgate, Mina and Keane, who won't offer you an awful lot going forward. So it depends a lot more on, Alex Iwobi's and your Richarlisons to perform better. But defensively, they're going to be very, very, very solid. And that is what we've seen over the last couple of games. We've seen 4 centre-halves create a solid brick wall along that defence, in which Chelsea and Leicester only a couple of times managed to break through it, and even then they couldn't make the most of it. For the majority of those 2 games, the opposition that we played, obviously more recently Leicester, an awful lot of possession, tried to get forward, just couldn't break us down, couldn't get through us, couldn't get anything, had no luck all day in doing that. Because we were so solid defensively. And there were a couple of lapses of concentration. Mason Holgate had one where I think it was Barnes down that side for Leicester, just basically put it through his legs and got into the box, but he ended up squaring it. I think it might have been to under, and his shot went over the bar. And Ben Godfrey was, sort of caught the odd time, but that's going to happen. The 2 again. Like I said, 2 young centre-halves playing out of position, but their natural default sort of footballing IQ, if you like, is I just need to defend here, and that's what's improved us massively defensively over the last couple of games. But listen, it was a brilliant performance, and again, Everton started the game in a very similar fashion to the way that we started the game against Chelsea, not having an awful lot of the ball, but you're not really too worried because we still looked the more comfortable of the two sides, I thought. Even though Leicester had a lot of the ball and Leicester were trying to get forward and Leicester were trying to create, our shape was so good, so consistent as well. Every time we had to come out the shape for a specific reason, whether it was because we had the ball and we were going forward or we had to move out of the shape, we got back into it straight away. None of this players caught out of position or players caught wondering. Everybody just went back into the shape straight away and just sat up and got themselves shaped up, and Leicester just really, really struggled to get through that. And you don't mind in games when you've not got a lot of possession, when you can see that even out of possession, you're keeping a very, very good, strong shape, and everybody's working. And, if the ball's in sort of near Leicester's area, the forwards are working, it comes into the midfielders are working, it goes a bit further, the defenders are working, and everybody is working as a unit. Organisation is massive in football, absolutely massive in football, and what we've lacked in the games prior to the Leicester game and the Chelsea game was organisation. We were playing a 5 at the back. Nobody seemed to know what they were doing. It was very confusing. You had a young centre-half in Ben Godfrey who'd only just come to the club playing as part of a 3. Yerry Mina and Michael Keane seemed very confused in terms of where they need to be on the pitch positional-wise. Obviously, we lost Seamus Coleman, so we were always playing a makeshift right-back, be it Alex Iwobi at right wing-back, who, done okay in those periods, but again, very, very makeshift, not a natural, defender, of course. Tom Davies played there on a specific occasion as well. You had Fabian Delph playing left wing-back, which, obviously didn't work. You had Ben Godfrey playing playing on that side as well, which, again, he wasn't really able to get forward an awful lot, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I don't want to really sit here and talk too much about the 5 at the back formation, but when you play a 5 at the back formation, you have to have wing-backs who can get forward and create chances. If you're playing a 5, for example, this current Everton team now with Godfrey and Holgate playing full-back, it wouldn't work with a 5 at the back formation because they're not forward-thinking full-backs, and that's fair enough because they're centre-halves by trade, but as a 4 at the back, it works so well because we're so solid defensively, and I pointed it out in my instant match reaction yesterday. We're coming under a lot of pressure. We've come under a lot of pressure in the last couple of games. We did yesterday against Leicester. They were putting a lot of balls into the box. Every time those balls were being dealt with by Keane or Mina or Godfrey or Holgate, Alan was sitting there in that triangle and he was picking up the second ball. So what we weren't seeing is Everton just defending for our lives and then Leicester just picking the ball up and going again, picking the ball up and going again. We were seeing Alan fighting for it, scrapping for it, and that was how we were able to get up the other end and create, opportunities that we may should have done, we maybe could have done better with. That was how Richarlison ended up getting his goal. That was how we ended up, winning corners and putting pressure on Leicester's defence as well, because we had Alan in that midfield who was picking up the scraps, and obviously Alan went off with an injury just before half time, which we'll move on to talk about in a second, and I did think that sort of changed the game. Don't get me wrong, we were still brilliant defensively, we still kept our shape very, very well, and we still done well ultimately to go out and get the second goal. But I think losing Alan was big, and it will be big for the coming games because he's a very, very important player to this Everton team ultimately. If you're not enjoying the scene, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Let's get into the live comments then and see what everybody has to say. Like I said, please do share it. Try and get as many people in here as possible. I understand it's 10:30 and some people might be settled down and don't want to listen to my whiny voice going about Everton, but listen, like I said, I had to do Christmas shopping. It's got to be done, and I can't do this online shopping me or Christmas shopping 7 weeks in advance. I've got to go the week before Christmas. Joel says, this is late, Cam. It certainly is, mate. You never know what you're going to get with me. Like I said, a lot of games in quick succession at the moment. There is going to be some live streams that are a little bit out of the usual time of 5 p.m. because sometimes that's not going to be... we're not going to be able to do that. There's going to be some videos maybe replacing live streams, like previews, for example, out of videos instead of live streams, because again, it's very, very difficult to do an hour and a half preview live stream when you've got multiple games going on. So I will do every preview, every review, of course. All of the content will still be coming. It'll just be in a different sort of form for this next couple of weeks or so, whilst we've got a lot of fixtures throughout December. Mike TG says, good evening up the fucking Sophie. Spot on. He also says, Will Pickford be on the bench again? I hope so. He's a liability. You never know, mate. You never know. Robin Olsen put in a very, very solid performance yesterday. Okay, didn't have an awful lot to do, but he was very, very solid. So, potentially, I think he'll start personally, but you never know. Somberio numero uno says, nice late one, just what I needed. Is right, mate. Thank you very much. Jason said that play Olsen again, give Pickford the quarter-final next week. Potentially, mate, potentially. Mike says, I'd leave him out. He's a liability. Eugene says, I think Everton needs to play Anthony Gordon against Arsenal this weekend because Alan's injured. Now, the Alan situation's a difficult one for me, and we will talk about it, like I said, when we go on to talk about Alan's injury, and we'll also talk about it in the preview to the Arsenal game, which will be up tomorrow. Who replaces Alan? Look, I wasn't massively impressed with Andre Gomez when he come on. I think as a footballer, Andre Gomez is a very neat footballer. He's what some would call a luxury. He's decent on the ball. You know, he very rarely makes a poor pass. He's strong. He can hold the ball up. But it's his off-the-ball work that massively lets him down for me. Whereas Alan's off-the-ball work is so important to this Everton team. Alan was man of the match whilst he was on the pitch today, and could have easily got man of the match against yesterday, and could have easily got man of the match against Chelsea last week. He's so important. That work he does off the ball, that running he does off the ball, is so vital to this Everton team. And when you take that out and you replace it with a player that, okay, is very neat and fancy on the ball, but off the ball just hasn't got that same work rate, you saw how it affected us in that 10 or 15 minute spell before Abdoulaye Doucouré thought, no, you know what, I need to go and do that because Andre Gomez isn't doing it. And Abdoulaye Doucouré was absolutely outstanding yesterday. Best performance in an Everton shirt. Mike says, Motormouth, bloody hell, come up for air. Sorry, mate. Eugene says, Carlo Ancelotti reveals Everton contract, hopes an exciting project. Yeah, he wants to stay, doesn't he? He said today he wants to stay longer than his contract, which is always great to see. Joel says, I hope we get the win on Saturday as I'm going. The game is right, Joel, is right. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Mike says, Jammy Devil, I hope you're not disappointed. Good luck, Joel. Brilliant. Eugene points out the Duncan Ferguson video today. It's brilliant. He also says, what do you make of Big Sam being West Ham's manager? I think it's Big Sam's hardest job, to be fair, to be honest, that he's ever had. And I think if Sam Allardyce manages to keep West Brom up, even I'll be saying fair play, because it's a difficult job. Joel says, thanks, mate. Mike says, Joel, get in the Blue Dragon and have curry and chips. Is right. Well, anyway, we'll get back into those in a second. But like I said, Everton started the game, again, I wouldn't say on the back foot, but Leicester, we were happy to allow Leicester a lot of the possession. We were happy to allow Leicester to get the ball. We were happy to allow Leicester to constantly put it into us because we knew we could defend it. And our game plan was always keep a strong back line. Don't give anything silly away, and hit them on the break when we get the opportunity. And that's exactly what we done. What was it, 25 minutes in, Richarlison gets the ball. Alex Iwobi gets the ball, makes an absolutely fantastic run. I thought Alex Iwobi was brilliant again yesterday, by the way. Deserves a lot of credit. Alex Iwobi's been fantastic over these last couple of games. He really has. Can't fault him whatsoever. Alex Iwobi gets the ball, comes in inside from the right-hand side. Yeah, from the right-hand side, gets it over to Richarlison. Richarlison's only thinking one thing when he's got that ball there. Scores against Leicester near enough every time he plays against them. I think he's got 4 in his last 4 games against them. And as soon as he's got that ball on that left-hand side of the pitch, he's cutting in on his right foot. And I actually think, I can't remember who it was, I don't know whether it was James Justin or another Leicester defender, apologies. But I actually think the Leicester defender should be really upset with this one, because he literally allows one of the best young players in world football to come onto his strong foot and have a shot from outside the box. And I actually think Richarlison deserves a lot more credit than he got yesterday. Yes, Kasper Schmeichel probably should save the effort. Yes, it's poor goalkeeping from Kasper Schmeichel, but it's a brilliant shot. It's hit at him from quite some distance, and his view of the shot is pretty much blocked for until it gets right near him, and then he gets a hand to it. And yes, maybe he should have done better. And look, I like to be balanced. I like to be balanced on these reviews. I like to give a balanced argument. And if it was Jordan Pickford or Robin Olsen, conceding that goal, I'd have probably been disappointed with it. I'd have wanted, an explanation. I'd have wanted it saved. But it's such a good hit by Richarlison, near enough in the corner, hit with a lot of pace, brilliantly placed. And like I said, Kasper Schmeichel's view is pretty much blocked for the entire shot until the last second, and that's why he can't manage to get a strong hand on it. And it's a brilliant goal. Like I said, Everton got 1-0 up, and you might determine that as Everton have gone 1-0 up against the run of play there. But again, these last couple of games, our style, our game plan has been, we don't really need to be at the run of play. We don't need to be on that run of play per se. We don't need the ball an awful lot. We don't need to be the aggressive team pushing forward. because we've got a good defensive unit, and we know that Alan in that midfield will pick up loose balls and we'll be able to break and we'll be able to get forward. And we've got the firepower in attack in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, recently Iwobi, who's been absolutely fantastic. And we know that when those three get a chance, we'll more than likely create and convert. And I know there's been a lot of discussion around James Rodriguez, and I can see discussion in the live comments now about James Rodriguez, and we will get into those in a second. Honestly, I think James Rodriguez improves an Everton side playing in that style, because he just adds to that attack and threat. Now, the conversation about who comes out for James is one for a different day, because I don't think you can make an argument for any Everton player to come out of that Everton team at the moment, because they've all been fantastic. They've all given 110% over the last 2 games, and they've all put in 2 really, really good performances. So, in terms of who would come out for James, that's a different argument, because it'd be very unfair to take anybody out of that Everton team at the moment. However, James would be able to play in this Everton team because he would add to the attack and threat that we have going forward, and it would arguably it'd be even better, because those chances we got on the counter attack, we'd have another, a player who is upper echelon quality who'd be able to create. But anyway, like I said, we got 1-0 up again. Brilliant. Leicester knocks Leicester's confidence massively, and for the first time in a while as an Evertonian, and I mean in a while as an Evertonian, by the way, I've sat there with Everton being 1-0 up, and I wasn't thinking this game's won, because I knew anything could happen, and it was still very, very early on, so I don't want to go too overboard, but I sat there feeling comfortable. Now, usually when Everton go 1-0 up, my arse hits the floor, my heart's in my mouth, not my arse in my mouth, my heart's in my mouth, my arse hits the floor, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, these are just going to step it up now, and it's only a matter of time before we concede, and it's probably going to be in the next 25 seconds. But yesterday, because of the performance against Chelsea and how good we were against Chelsea, and how good we'd been in that opening 20 minutes defensively and the midfield yesterday, when we went 1-0 up, I just sat back and I thought, comfortable all day, we've won this. And I know that was probably a bit naive of me to think, because anything could have happened, but I wasn't shitting myself. Whereas historically I would be with Everton going 1-0 up, because I just know, oh my God, there's loads of time left, anything can happen. But I was sitting back thinking, yeah, this is comfortable. If we can carry on like this is comfortable. Then, of course, again, we continue to defend. They try and get forward. They did have a couple of opportunities. Jamie Vardy had one, like I mentioned before, right after we scored a header. Ball comes in again. There was a couple of times the fullbacks lapsed in concentration a bit. This was one of them. Leicester far too easily allowed to put the ball into the box. Jamie Vardy gets a head on it, and again, he's probably sitting there kicking himself, because he should do better. He heads it right at Robin Olsen. It's headed with some power, to be fair. It's headed with some power, and Robin Olsen makes a comfortable save. They did have the odd opportunity as well after that, where again they were breaking forward, and they got in behind, but they never made anything of it, either via a wayward shot or we defended it really well. And then, of course, Alan goes down just before half-time, couple of minutes before half-time, pulls up with a hamstring injury. And hamstring injuries are always those injuries where you look at and, football injuries are difficult unless there's a broken bone, or you can see it, physically see it. Certainly muscle injuries, you're always sort of sitting there thinking, okay, you don't really know what's happened there. Hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully he's okay. Maybe he'll be able to be fit for the next game. But hamstring injuries, as soon as you see a player pull up and start to, hop and skip and hold his hamstring and then go down, it's game over pretty much at that point, and it's probably going to be at least a few weeks out on the sidelines. Now, hopefully, Alan's injury isn't too serious. Carlo Ancelotti will have his pre-game press conference tomorrow for the game against Arsenal, and hopefully he talks about it, and we get a little bit more detail in how long Alan will be out for. But I don't want to speculate or assume, but again, it probably is looking like he's going to be out for at least a large majority of these Christmas fixtures, if not all of these Christmas fixtures, because it's a very, very nasty injury. He was seen in the King Power Stadium on crutches yesterday after he was taken off. And that, you sort of did feel like, okay, this might change the game here. Alan had been our best player on the pitch at that point for me. Again, like I said, sitting in that sort of triangle space, in the midfield. Whenever the ball was cleared defensively, he was there, he was picking it up, he was working hard, he was doing the dog's work basically. He is that little pit bull inside of the midfield who just does that horrible dog's work constantly, minute in for the entire game. And he was doing that yesterday. He was brilliant for the time that he was on the pitch. Goes down, hamstring, instantly he's going to have to come off, and you're sort of thinking, right, okay, is this going to affect the way we play? Firstly, is it going to affect the tactics in which we approach? Let's be honest, Alan is a massive part of that, keeping a strong, compact, structured defensive line. So is Carlo Ancelotti now going to change it all? And ultimately, are we going to be able to keep up that same level of performance without Alan, who is one of our best players on the pitch? And again, all of that was going round our heads at once, and then Andre Gomes obviously was ready to come on. And again, I don't mind Andre Gomes. I think he's a really tidy footballer, but he can't do the Alan role. He just can't. Listen, whether you like him or not. And some people think he actually had an okay game yesterday, Andre Gomes, when he come on. And on the ball, he done okay, but he can't play that Alan role. He cannot be that player who sweeps up. He just isn't. He's 2 seconds behind the game all the time, Andre Gomes. And like I said, that's fine when you're a luxury player and you're great on the ball and you're strong and you hold it up. But when your role is to be a second ahead of the game and know what's going to happen before it happens and be that midfielder who clears the ball every time it comes out to him, or again is that dog doing that hard work in the middle, you need to be 2-3 seconds ahead of the game, and Andre Gomes isn't. And we saw that for a brief 5 or 10 minute spell when Andre Gomes come on. For me anyway, in my opinion, we saw, right, okay, we're struggling. We're massively missing Alan here. Gomes is giving away silly fouls. I think he got a yellow card quite quickly as well. And he's not fulfilling that role. And sooner or later, Leicester, probably at half time, are going to go in and look at that and go, right, okay, one of their most important players has come off here. Andre Gomes has come on. For all that he's good at, he ain't good at doing that Alan role, so target him. And I want to say, a big shout out and a big mention goes to Abdoulaye Doucouré yesterday. Not only was he fantastic in that opening 40 minutes while Alan was on the pitch and doing what he usually does in being that big, tall, strong centre-half in the middle centre midfielder in the middle of the park who gets the ball and brings it forward and uses his strength and, is constantly with the ball at his feet passing it round. But he noticed that situation, it seemed, and he thought, right, okay, I need to step it up here. I need to now adopt the Alan role. I need to be the midfielder that's getting themselves in the way of challenges, that's joining the back line when need be, that's throwing themselves into tackles, like I said, that's winning the ball back, that's having that sort of pit bull dog style of football. I need to be that player because Andre Gomes isn't doing that. And they sort of switched roles then. Andre Gomes sort of moved into the midfielder who's just comfortable on the ball and plays it round and links everything together, in which Abdoulaye Doucouré was previously doing. And Doucouré adopted the Alan role of just being a pit bull in the middle of the park and getting in front of everything and being on the end of everything and defending. He made an absolutely fantastic challenge on Jamie Vardy, where the ball's played in again far too easily to Jamie Vardy, and he is literally about a split second away from firing it. And more often than not, when Jamie Vardy gets his foot underneath a ball and he takes a shot in the 6-yard box, it's going in the back of the net. And that would have been a real that would have caused a real knock on our confidence yesterday because of how well we were defending at that time. Gets in that area, Jamie Vardy literally looks like he's about to pull the trigger, and Abdoulaye Doucouré's behind him and makes an absolutely fantastic tackle. It reminded me of his tackle, I think it was on the opening game of the season against Tottenham. I can't remember who it was. It might have even been Dele Alli, who was literally one-on-one with the keeper, and Abdoulaye Doucouré makes a challenge on the halfway line where he comes in, he gets the ball, it goes back to Pickford and it's clear. Then he gets up and he acts like nothing's happened. He acts like, oh yeah, that's my job, I do that. But it's such an important challenge because if he doesn't make it, on that occasion, I think it's Dele Alli goes one-on-one. On this occasion, Jamie Vardy gets the shot off. And with Jamie Vardy's track record, you'd bet on him to score in that situation. Obviously, you can't guarantee it, but you bet on him to score. But he makes such an important challenge. And for me, he was man of the match. Man of the match by quite some distance yesterday. I thought he was very good. Probably his best game in an Everton shirt, to be perfectly honest with you, Abdoulaye Doucouré. Like I said, not only because he was, he done what he needed to do and what he usually does in that sort of, being the powerful midfielder in the next to Alan, who plays the ball nicely, but he adopted that Alan role when he had to, when Alan went off, and he was just absolutely brilliant. So Anyway, we go in at half-time. Like I said, we've lost Alan. At this point, we hadn't really seen Decore adopt that role yet. We were still sort of seeing Andre Gomez a little bit behind the play. And you're thinking, right, okay, go out there, try and defend this lead, hit them on the counter-attack if absolutely necessary. Before we get into talking about the second half, if you're all enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. Get your thoughts in the live comments. 30 people watching. Really, really, really big thanks to everybody for watching. I understand it's 11:15 at night, and you probably all want to be tucked up in bed, and you're probably all sitting saying, Cam, shut up. I'm watching Coronation Street on repeat. I've got my cup of tea. I've got some toast. I don't want to talk about Everton. I just want to go to bed. So I really, really appreciate you getting involved and joining us. It means a lot. If you are enjoying, please do hit that like button. If you could share it on Twitter and any other social media, Facebook, Instagram, etc., it would mean a massive, massive amount to me. I promise the Arsenal preview will be up at a more reasonable time tomorrow, so you don't have to worry about that one. Let's get back into the live comments then. You can set predictions for the game on the weekend. Well, you'll see. We'll do a prediction in the preview tomorrow. Yours says, I think Everton should play the same team against Arsenal and play Andre Gomez instead of Alan because of his injury. Sonny says, even in all, any news on how long Alan's going to be out for? Not yet. I assume we'll hear from Carlo Ancelotti tomorrow in his pre-game press conference regarding that. But you know, it's a hamstring injury, isn't it? So it doesn't look great at the moment. Jason says, yes, but Alan play the same. Dare I say, I'd think twice about playing James, even if he was fit. X360 Boss says, go in the game on Saturday, row. And glad to see it's like 14 rows up. Is right, mate. Is right. Enjoy it, mate. Absolutely enjoy it and go and make it proper horrible for Arsenal, but proper boss for the Toffees. Charlie says, enjoy, mate. Eric says, I'd play Iwobi over James. Lucas says, I'd play Pickford over James. What is that? James has been brilliant. James has been absolutely brilliant. Yes, we've been very, very good recently without him in the team, but that's not because he hasn't been in the team. That's just because we've changed our style of play. We haven't improved because James has been out the team. Let's get it right. We've improved because we've absolutely effed off the 5 at the back formation, which is a monstrosity of a formation. We've reverted to a 4 at the back. We've brought in 2 fullbacks whose primary sort of objective is to defend, so the defence has become a lot more solid, and we've gained confidence in that. Not because James is in there. James could be in this team and us be playing in the same fashion. Ewan says, who do you play for Everton against Arsenal now because Alan's injured? I think Andre Gomez should play. Well, we'll do the predicted starting 11 for the game against Arsenal in the preview tomorrow, so I don't want to give too much away. XD6 says Holgate into midfield, Coleman at right back, if Coleman's fit, of course. But what I would say is, when Andre Gomez come on yesterday, there was a part of me which thought it should have been Tom Davies. And again, Tom Davies isn't guaranteed to come on and change the game. He isn't guaranteed to come on and have the same effect as Alan does on the team. But I think Tom Davies is more of a like-for-like replacement for Alan than Andre Gomez is. Yes, Andre Gomez might be a better footballer than Tom Davies, but I think Tom Davies is more willing to do the dog work. He's more willing to win that ball in the midfield, to be that pit bull, to throw the challenges in, to, you know, use his feet and use his body to get the ball forward. Is he as good as Alan at doing it? Absolutely not, but he's more suited to that specific role than Andre Gomez is. Now, obviously, didn't matter in the long run. We come out for the second half. Abdoulaye Doucouré adopted it and was absolutely brilliant in doing it, so it didn't really matter. But as to who starts in place of Alan on Saturday, I've seen a lot of different suggestions. I've seen Holgate move into centre-back and Coleman go right back, centre-mid, sorry. Coleman go right back. I've seen Andre Gomez suggested. I've seen Gordon suggested. I've seen a lot of different players suggested for that role. Personally, again, like I said, to be honest, I haven't really made my mind up on it. I'm waiting to hear what Carlo Ancelotti says tomorrow, because if Carlo Ancelotti comes out at half-1 in his pre-game press conference and says Seamus Coleman still isn't ready to play here, he still needs another couple of days, then Mason Holgate's playing right back. Even if Seamus is fit, I'd keep Mason Holgate at right back. You know, I would not disturb that back line whatsoever. They've been playing so well. They're so organised. They understand their roles. They understand what they need to do. I don't see any point in disturbing it. And okay, you can say, well, there's injuries and this, that, the other, and you have to do what's best for the team. But I don't see any point in disturbing that back line. We're going to have to make changes because of rotation and fitness, and so the situation with Alan doesn't happen to another player where they're pulling up because of lack of rest and lack of recovery. But I wouldn't mess about with the defence. He might take Sigurdsson out and put James in. He might take Iwobi out. He might take obviously he'll have to take Alan out. But I would not be messing about with that defence because it's just been so solid recently. And Carlo Ancelotti will open himself up to a lot of criticism if he takes Mason Holgate out of that defence on Saturday, even if he puts him in midfield and we lose the game. Because everyone, including myself, will just be sitting here on Monday saying, why didn't you keep the same back line? It's worked so well against Chelsea. We didn't, we kept 2 clean sheets against 2 of the best attacking teams in the league. Why against a team that aren't in great form would you change the back line? So I do think it's a difficult decision for Carlo. I wouldn't change the back line personally, but I understand that injuries and fatigue and stuff come into play. But anyway, we go out in the second half, and again, very, very impressive second half of football for Everton. We kept a really, really strong defensive line. We didn't allow Leicester pretty much anything. They had a couple of one-off opportunities, like I said, here and there. Didn't make anything off them. Again, defensively, we were absolutely brilliant. Obviously, there were spells in the game where they had a lot of the ball and they looked the more likely to score. But I think we've done a very, very good job of frustrating them completely and making sure that in those spells they obviously didn't get chances to score and they didn't convert anything. And then after 10 or 15 minutes, they sort of seemed to huff and puff. And we saw this against Chelsea as well. And I keep reverting back to both games because they were very, very similar tactically, and we got very, very similar results, and we performed fantastically in both. But we've seen this in the Chelsea game, where in the last 10 or 15 minutes, Chelsea just sort of thought, you know what, we're not getting anything out of this game here, so, let's just try and push, but with no real expectation. We sort of seen that from Leicester, just before we scored the second goal, 5 or 10 minutes before, they sort of seemed like they took the foot off the gas a little bit, because they were just frustrated with how well we were defending and the fact that they couldn't break through us. And then, of course, like I said, we get down the other end, corner comes in. Michael Keane, I think, is the first one to get his head on it. Kasper Schmeichel makes an unbelievable save. We did have chances before that. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had an half chance as well to get on the end of a shot that he get on the end of a cross that he didn't quite get on the end of. He also had a header, which was pretty much straight at Kasper Schmeichel. But the corner comes in. Michael Keane gets on the end of it. Schmeichel makes a fantastic save. Then Dom gets on the end of it. Schmeichel makes another fantastic save. The second one was absolutely brilliant. But again, persistence. The persistence of this Everton team. Michael Keane doesn't score. Okay, Dom has a go. Dom doesn't score. Okay, Mason Holgate's there on the end of it. And I'm made up for Mason. Absolutely made up. Because not only did I think he played very, very well yesterday, again, barring Barnes putting it through his legs or putting it through him on one occasion. I thought defensively he was very, very strong. He got forward on a couple of occasions as well. But I think over the last 2 games he's been brilliant. Playing out of position, only just coming back into the team as well off the back of a bad injury, let's not forget. And I thought he was absolutely excellent again yesterday. Gets on the end of it, scores his first Premier League goal for Everton, knee slides. And at that point, how many times, be honest, if you're watching the live stream now, get in the live comments. If you're watching the YouTube video, get in the YouTube comments. How many times have we been able to sit here as Evertonians recently, even at 2-0 up, and go, this is sad, we've won this game? As soon as Mason Holgate slotted that second goal, I thought, this is one. There's no chance they're scoring 2. They might get 1, there's no chance they're scoring 2. That sort of did change a little bit when the penalty situation happened, because then I just thought my heart sank again. But we just looked so comfortable at that point again. We'd gone up the other end. We were prodding them. We were creating chances. We were looking the more likely to score. The play had switched on its head. We were starting to get in control of it while still keeping that brilliant shape. We scored the second goal, and it's pretty much game over. And at that point, game done and dusted. They make a couple of changes. I think Iheanacho come on, who usually is very, very good against Everton. Didn't do anything yesterday, but again, usually very, very good. He come on, tried to change the game for Leicester. Didn't happen. And ultimately we look very, very solid until, of course, they break into the box. Andre Gomez sticks a foot out. Lee Mason blows for a penalty. Now, I'm not going to lie. I think we were lucky to get away with this one. I think we were lucky to get away with it on a couple of different sort of reasons. One of them, because I've seen them given. Even given Andre Gomez did get a touch on the ball and touch the ball first, I've seen them given a lot of times in the Premier League, even this season, where defenders have got the ball, but the referees have determined, no, there's not enough contact on the ball, it's a penalty. I think it's stupid by Andre Gomez. A lot of people think it's a great challenge. I think it's stupid. I think he's very, very silly to be, kicking at a player's heels from behind him when he's running into the box, because 10 times out of 10, no matter which attacker you are doing that against in the Premier League, if they even feel the wind behind the back of the heel, they're going down. Whether there's contact or not, they're going down. And you leave yourself so open to give a penalty away there. And yes, we got away with one because he got the ball and Lee Mason overruled it and he didn't end up getting the penalty. But I just think it's silly for him to just stick a foot out. I actually think it's lazy as well. He was behind the play, couldn't get in front of him, so he stuck a foot out. Yes, he got the ball, fair enough. Mightn't have got the ball and he'd have conceded the penalty, and we'd have had to play the last 5 or 10 minutes with Leicester flying at us, absolutely flying at us, because they had the chance to get something out of the game. And I just think it's careless, and I think it's stupid. And some might be, oh, why are you being negative? We won the game, it was a brilliant performance, Andre Gomes done okay. Fair enough. I think it's very, very careless to throw your foot in there. I honestly do. And that's twice Andre Gomes has thrown his leg in carelessly in games this season. He done it against Newcastle, which again shouldn't have been a penalty, but it's careless to throw your foot in, when a player can just come behind you and make the contact. But again, like I said, that's all part of him not being able to play that Allen role, which is fair enough. Listen, if you stuck James Rodriguez in the Allen role, he'd look poor, because that's not his forte. His forte is up the other end, scoring and creating goals. Andre Gomes' forte is being that nice midfielder in the middle who links the play and is, very tidy. It's not the dog work that Allen does, and I think he did show that. Like I said, Lee Mason flags away, goes to check the VAR monitor, no penalty, wins the ball, brilliant, got away with one. Breathe again, come to the other end, they throw another ball into the box, goes into the back of the net, massive, miles offside. And I do think at that point they sort of thought, right, okay, we've had the penalty go against us, decision go against us, we've had the ball in the back of the net and it's offside, we can't break this Everton team down very well, let's just call it a day. And the final whistle went and Everton got a big 2-0 win. Massive 2-0 win. It was another fantastic performance. And like I said, a lot of individual performances which really stood out. Abdoulaye Doucouré, man of the match, best performance in an Everton shirt for me by a long shot. Not only did he do his usual work that he does and the fantastic work in the midfield of bringing the ball forward and nice little passes, but he also done the dog work that Allen does, which was very, very important at a point in the game where I honestly think Leicester were this close to saying, hang on a minute, they're struggling here without Allen, get at them and make them pay for it. Doucouré just stepped in and thought, no, you know what, I'll do that, and it was brilliant. Alex Iwobi again, special shout out to Alex Iwobi, really good on the ball, gets forward, uses his body well, very strong, again, cuts into the midfield. Again, the Richarlison goal was because of Alex Iwobi cutting in from that right-hand side through the midfield and just completely just bypassing Leicester's midfield and defence by cutting in with pace and power. Thought he was brilliant yesterday. Again, final ball, yeah, could improve, but overall, Alex Iwobi, we're starting to see the real Alex Iwobi here, and what a player we've bought. Gylfi Sigurdsson, thought he worked really hard again yesterday, throwing himself in, no issues with him. Richarlison, much better performance by Richarlison yesterday. That's the type of performance we want to see. Working hard, fighting and getting on the score sheet. Richarlison was kicked all day long, and again, said this in the instant match reaction, Clinton Morrison on the commentary is, oh, he's down again, he's down again, he's rolling around, don't see how that's a foul. He never dies, Richarlison, said it yesterday. This is to anybody, Everton fan or not, find me a clip where Richarlison is on the floor and no contact is being made. Find me it, they don't exist. They don't exist whatsoever. So go and find me a clip where Richarlison hits the floor after no contact being made. Yes, he might make the most of it, or he might make a little bit of a scene, but every time he hits that floor, it's because he's being kicked, or he's being hit, or he's being barged into. And the lad played after falling very awkwardly on his hand and having it to be strapped up, looked very uncomfortable, and yet he still played on, and yet he's still in the 90th minute is blasting it down the wing and winning fouls in really good areas for us, despite the fact he's practically playing with one hand. So all of this utter nonsense, because this is an agenda as well, by the way. Let's not sort of get into this thing of they just sort of think he makes the most of it. This is an agenda against Richarlison. Not one pundit will dare stand up and say to Salah, hang on, you go down a little bit easily, don't you? Or you spend a lot of time on the floor. They won't say it to Mane. They won't say it to Bruno Fernandes, who may as well have a fucking quilt when he's on the pitch because he's constantly on the floor. They don't say it to anybody else. Richarlison gets volleyed from behind, goes down, obviously, because he's being volleyed from behind. Anybody would go down. If Clinton Morrison got volleyed in the street from behind, I'm sure he'd go down as well, holding his legs. But because it's Richarlison, he goes down often him. goes down an awful lot. And it wasn't just Clinton Morrison, to be fair. He commentated on the game yesterday, so being a bit harsh. He didn't really have a clue what he was talking about, but he was all right. But again, this agenda, we saw Jamie Carragher talking about it, of Richarlison goes down far too easily. He doesn't. He goes down when he's kicked, like every single footballer does in the Premier League. And again, I thought he was brilliant yesterday. Really, really good performance. Very, very solid. Got his goal, which done him an awful lot of confidence, of course. Brilliant to see. And I expect big, big things now from Richarlison, and it was a fantastic, fantastic victory. Let's get into the live comments then before we finish up. Mike has donated £2 to the live stream. Thank you very much, Mike. He's just past your bedtime, innit, mate? It is. It's a late one today, mate. It's a late one. I will be going to bed very, very soon. Ewan says, hi, Mike. Mike says, I hope you're good. He also says, get the likes up, Blues. Spot on. Thank you very much. He says, they won't say it to Richie if he played for any other top side. Jedi says, should I put Richarlison as my captain against Arsenal in my DCL, in my fancy team? And Mike says DCL. They wouldn't say it to Richarlison if he played for any other side, mate, because ultimately, again, it's just a nonsense. It's a nonsense. Ian says, evening Cam and fellow Blues, thought Justin was playing really well last night until Iwobi changed sides and quietened him down. Thought our team were brilliant and Carlo was a definite 10. Spot on, mate. Spot on. He's a decent player, that James Justin. He is a decent player. I really, really like the look of him. But you're right. Alex Iwobi switched over and just completely nullified his game. Graham says, same against Arsenal. Same attitude and same mentality to keep a clean sheet. It's all about points. Joel says, if Hammers is back for the Arsenal game, I'll bench him because I wouldn't want to risk another injury. Very good point, mate. Jane says, replace Sigurdsson with Hammers. There's no need to put Hammers at right wing. Also says, Iwobi's doing well, so I don't see why he should come off for Hammers. Very, very fair point. Ewan says, do I think DCL will get a hat-trick against Arsenal? Don't know, mate. Might be a bit much to ask that, but I don't know. El Bentley, what's happening, mate? He says, alright, Cam. Joel says, Eugene, I really hope so. Evertonian TV, what's happening, mate? He says, how's it going, Cameron? All good here, mate. Hope you're doing well. El Bentley says, the style of play we have showed the last 2 games is the kind of football that wins silverware. It certainly is. Ewan says, Everton should play a 4-2-3-1 formation against Arsenal. Jedi says, Olsen was so calm against Leicester. What do you think, Cam? Pickford or Olsen? Pickford has improved a lot in my opinion, but Olsen seems very calm, experienced and solid. I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant that we've got 2 goalkeepers that we can rely on and that we can look at and think, you know, these are good. These are 2 decent goalkeepers. Pickford needs to keep it up, and I really, really like Olsen. I think he's shown himself to be a really good goalkeeper. El Bentley says, definitely a stupid challenge from Gomez. I agree. Ewan says, where do we think Everton will finish? No, mate, it's quite early to say that. Jedi says, Richarlison, same as Zaha, gets kicked all the time. Spot on. Blue Boys Network, Mike says, Iwobi stuck his hand up, Justin, and backed him up. And Ewan says, do you think DCL will win the Golden Boot? He's on track for it, mate. He's on track. I think he's still top goal scorer, isn't he? So he's on track. Anyway, look, we're going to finish it there. Absolutely brilliant performance by Everton again yesterday, and we have to keep that up. We shouldn't fear this Arsenal team on Saturday. We shouldn't, because they're not unbelievable. They're a decent side with some good players, but they're in poor form, and there's a lot of pressure on the manager. So we shouldn't underestimate them, because like I said, they've got some decent players, but we definitely shouldn't be scared of them or shouldn't be worried of them. If we go out and we put in the same type of performance as we did yesterday against Leicester and we did on the weekend against Chelsea, then I think we can comfortably beat Arsenal at Goodison Park. I really, really do. But we have to be able to do that. Like I said, our preview will be up tomorrow at some point during the night, as well as the weekly news roundup. We'll go through my predicted starting 11, go through my score predictions, how I think we should approach this game. A little bit of a teaser. Even if Seamus Coleman's back fit, even if we need somebody to replace Allen in the midfield, I wouldn't be changing that back line. I just wouldn't. I think, why change something that's working so well at the moment? Jedi says, thanks, Cam. Carlo Claus has got us going. He has. What a man Carlo is. So listen, again, Everton are 1 point away from being in the top 4, and I think we're 5 points away from top of the league. Think of the fine margins this season. Gylfi Sigurdsson scores that chance against Burnley. That's an extra 3 points, 2 points away from being top. You know, you could say we don't concede the penalty against Newcastle, which shouldn't have been a penalty. You know, that's another point, 1 point away from the top. Again, we perform a little bit better against Leeds. We get a point there. So it's very, very tight at the moment, and considering we went on a bad run of form, we're still well up there, and that's credit to where Carlo Ancelotti. I think at the same point last season, in terms of same amount of games played, not the same point in the year, because obviously this season started a month later, we were 16th, after the same amount of games played. We're now 5th, borderline in Champions League places. So we have massively improved. You can say good night and see you tomorrow evening. Up to Toffees, thank you very much. And Joel says see you, Cam. Thank you very much. Big thanks to everybody for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Massive win for the Toffees. Massive result. Get in onto Arsenal at the weekend now. Got to do the same. Like I said, preview will be out tomorrow during the night, and then we'll have the weekly news roundup as well. Big thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like. Massive thanks to everybody in the live comments. If you're watching the YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and we'll get involved with as many of them as possible. Big thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.